You guys can still hear me, right? Good. Awesome. Cool. So we'll move on to Gmail MailPlane. Now, everyone has their own applications that they like to run for mail. There's people running Entourage. There's people running Mac Mail. So, I don't really, if those are the applications you run, that's totally fine. And there's a whole set of of different things that you can do to be more productive. I wanted to bring up Gmail and MailPlane. I've found them to be the best for me, and especially someone who's making the switch over from, say, a Microsoft environment into a Mac, and they're thinking, well, gee, what should I use on the Mac? Gmail and MailPlane tend to work pretty well. So the reason why I like Gmail a lot is I'm actually going to bring this over here because you guys will probably be able to see the presentation. I like the keyboard shortcuts within Gmail. Thunderbird's also, I've heard really good things about Thunderbird, just haven't had a chance to really play around with it. So I like the keyboard shortcuts within Gmail. Here's a link to a printable version of the keyboard shortcuts, and you can go ahead and print this up just like you do with the Apple shortcuts. Put it in your visual field when you're processing your email. It'll help you to learn the keyboard shortcuts. The other thing about Gmail is it's great because of the mobile integration. I've found being able to access my mail from anywhere is really nice. The other thing that I wanted to show you guys is something called MailPlane. What MailPlane is it's basically a desktop application that allows you to access your Gmail. And what I found about MailPlane is it's got a few things that are interesting. It's got the ability to, I'll pull this up here. It's got the ability here to do a few things that you can't do, or at least that I've had difficulty doing with Gmail out of the box. One is the ability to label a message without having to actually go and use the drop-down. So for instance, if I take this LinkedIn invite, I'm just going to go ahead and choose a label here, and you use Command L to do this. And so it pulls up all your labels. I'm going to label it SAT, which I won't go into what that is, and then hit Y to archive it. So basically what I can do is I can select an application here, a message here, and I can label it and archive it without ever having to use my mouse. So that's something that I like about MailPlane. Another thing that I like about MailPlane is the ability to actually drag and drop attachments onto the interface. So if I bring MailPlane back up again and I go ahead and I create a message, and what I can do is I can actually bring an icon over here. It says attach files to this message. I can drop that in there and I can send that email message away. So kind of cool, makes the process of sending messages with attachments a little bit easier. Now what I've found actually works really well for me is I actually have an instance of Gmail using Fluid app and an instance of MailPlane running at the same time. And the reason why I like that is because it allows me to take information from one email and bring it into another email without having to switch back and forth. So I've got, in my current setup right now, I've got dual monitors. I've got my MacBook Pro that I'm, doing this on, and then I've got another monitor attached to it. So I can have Gmail in one window, MailPlane in the other, and I can bring stuff back and forth. And I found that's really helped me to process emails and do a lot of, cut and paste and stuff a lot easier. So just something to recommend. MailPlane you do have to pay money for, but it's like, it's like $20. So it's definitely a good investment if you're using Gmail. So, any questions on that? So we'll move on to number 6, which is slide 9, which is remember the milk. So I used to use an application called GoToDo to manage my to-dos, and everyone's kind of got their own personal preferences as to how to manage to-dos. Some people just love to keep the old pencil and paper. For some people, they have very intricate GTD, getting things done setups, which that used to be me, and I kind of moved a little bit away from that. But what I've found recently that's really been useful is this application called Remember the Milk. And the reasons why I like Remember the Milk are, first of all, it's got a fantastic iPhone application. So one of the things that I've been finding lately, and I'm sure many of you who are on Macs or thinking about making a switch to Macs, is you're probably thinking about making a switch to an iPhone as well. And so the GoToDo, and you're probably not going to be able to see this, the Remember the Milk iPhone app is very, very slick, and it integrates extremely well with the desktop application. So now I've got my to-do list when I'm at the computer, and I've got my to-do list when I'm on the go, and they're basically the same. So Definitely one of the big reasons why I switched was because of that. Another thing is because of Quicksilver integration. So I can go into Quicksilver and I can hit the period within Quicksilver, and allows me to bring up this text input box, which if you study Quicksilver, you'll learn more about this. And I can say, what do I need to do today? I need to pick up groceries. And then what I can do is I can start typing in, it's like, there's a couple of different ways you can get to it, but I started typing in tab, and then CR, and what comes up is the ability to create a task in Quicksilver. So, I'm sorry, remember the milk. So I go ahead and hit enter, and now it says, remember the milk has created a to-do, pick up groceries. So that's the fastest way that I've found to be able to add a to-do to my list is that integration of Quicksilver and remember the milk. Before I was always like, I gotta go to this browser and I gotta hit, add something here. It would take me, 30 seconds to add a to-do list item, and now it takes me 3. So over time, if you're adding a lot of to-dos, and if you have studied at all David Allen's getting things done strategy, he recommends trying to get a lot of things out of your head and into some sort of a system. This is a fantastic way to do it and do it very efficiently. So getting things done, highly recommend that book if you haven't read it before. His system is fairly complex, but if you do more of a scaled back system, it's actually works pretty well. Another thing that I like about Remember the Milk is the keyboard shortcuts. So if I bring Remember the Milk up, and I've got Remember the Milk set up as a fluid app, as you might expect, and I go and I hit T, it's going to automatically allow me to create a task, new task, and then I hit, once I've created that new task created, I can hit D, and I can say I want to run that task tomorrow. So, very easy for me to be able to go in here and create new tasks, add notes, add all sorts of different things. So, GTD was the Costco magazine cover story. Wow, it's hitting the mainstream. I know David Allen, and that's exciting that it's getting so big. Very cool. And then the final thing that I like about Remember the Milk, and one of the things, he's a great guy. One of the things that I like about it is the ability to take it offline. So you notice up top here they're using Google Gears, which allows you to take web-based applications and take it offline. And what I can do is I can just click on this button here, and it'll bring Remember the Milk offline, which is fantastic if you're ever away from the computer but you still want to have access to your web-based to-do list. And then when you come back online again, it's going to go ahead and it's going to sync it with all your other stuff. So there's some other options that you can use for to-do lists. Gmail just launched something called Gmail Tasks. There's Goo To Do. There's IGTD. There's probably 20 different applications for managing to-dos. But I've found so far that I really like Remember the Milk. So wanted to share. Any questions there? All right, so moving on, this is a relatively new application that I've been using called Evernote, and I've fallen in love with this thing. So basically what Evernote is it's an application that allows you to use your, basically have a notepad that's available to you both when you're on your computer and when you're on the go. There's a few things about Evernote that I like. One of the things that I like about Evernote is it has the ability to search within images. So if you have, and I'll pull this up here, if you have, for instance, an image, and I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see this, I think I'm kind of pushing the boundary of what what Connect is able to do, but if you look here in the bottom right corner, can you see the picture of the girl wearing the Triple Nerd Score t-shirt? If you can't, I wouldn't be surprised. If you can, I'd actually be shocked. Can you see that picture of her? Wow, this is amazing. So great. So when I go in here, if I search on triple, notice how it pulls up the note, right? And how did it pull up the note? It pulled up the note based off of recognizing the word triple that was written on her shirt. So this is one of the things that's really cool about Evernote is not only can I put standard text notes in here and I can do other things, but I can actually search text within images. So if I do handwritten notes, I have the ability to search those handwritten notes through Evernote. If I take a picture of something, it's really, really cool. And it doesn't work all the time. Like you have to, if the handwriting is sloppy or if the text is blurry, it's not going to work. It's really, really neat because it allows you to integrate your handwritten notes along with your text notes. Yeah, DJ, it basically searches your images within Evernote. So it's really, really cool. You can take a note with eyesight.